Metanomics is brought to you by Remedy Communications and Dusan Writers Metaverse.
The subtitle of your book is "The Path to Prosperity in a Disordered World." So, what do you see as the connection between disorder in the environment, the ordering we impose, and economics?
Well, I think what the web is and what virtual worlds are, it's kind of a blooming, buzzing confusion. It can be intimidating or it can be bewildering, but the way you make it work for you is to go out there and literally impose order on it and use good filters. You have ways of drawing from it what works for you, whether it's your Twitter feed or RSS or what island you go to in Second Life. A world that appears completely unordered, in fact, in each of our individual minds, a high degree of coherence and meaning, we do the ordering. It's like we create these private worlds of our culture using the powers of our own mind. So I see technology as empowering the individual. It also relates back to the autistic cognitive profile. Autistics are very good at seeing beauty or meaning, all things or combinations of things that to other people might seem meaningless. There's another way in which the modern world having a kind of marriage with the cognitive profile.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, you give a number of examples that link, I guess, really link autistic thinking styles to, for example, collectors, the habits of collectors, and I'm wondering if you could just walk us through an example of how you see that connection.
Well, I think of myself, for instance, as an information collector. I do. It's more fundamental to what I do than being an economist or a social scientist. A blog is one way of collecting information and ordering it for other people. I think there's a well-known tendency in the literature on autism and Asperger's that autistic individuals love collecting in preferred areas. Why this is, I think, is not well understood, but it's somehow a way of creating meaning and beauty and bringing orders to worlds ways which are novel or powerful. I think what the web is enabling everyone to do, whether or not they're autistic, is engage in a kind of collecting, whether it's using Flickr or, again, your RSS feed or whatever it may be, or your island in Second Life. Do that collecting in a more powerful way, make it more appealing, make it more attractive.
And now you actually... one of the lines in your book that I thought was very interesting is that you say schools are using social means to teach kids to be more like the autistic. Can you explain that for us?
Well, a lot of school is about trying to teach people focus, about trying to teach people how to educate themselves. Again, those are two areas where autistic people very often are extremely powerful or extremely talented. They're like the ultimate self-educators, again, in preferred areas, not with regard to all skills, and they're capable of having extreme focus. So I find it ironic or strange, to say the least, that on one hand, you have both a popular and a research culture where autistic people are often demonized or seen as hopeless or pitiful or whatever, yet on the other hand, we turn around and each year spend many billions of dollars, in essence, trying to teach some of the skills that autistic people have non-autistics. I just thought that was worth pointing out in my book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now, along you talked about focus, and one of the issues in the internet in general, and particularly in virtual worlds, is that it's very much a multitasking environment. And just to give people a sense of what I do during a Metanomics broadcast, where I'm immersed in a virtual world. I'm looking at the text chat of all the participants who are commenting and asking questions. I'm looking at my notes that have my own questions and topics and background material. And often, if a guest says something, I'll have to go Google that so I can follow up in a more intelligent way and figure out, on the fly what they're talking about. And it seems like this multitasking and that type of environment is almost antithetical to the type of unique sustained focus that you attribute to as a characteristic of the autistic thinking style. Do you see a disconnect there?
Well, I think the web allows us to multitask when we want to, but also to focus when we want to. There are plenty of people, say, who use YouTube and just, listen to the music or watch the video, or people who use Google to find the one thing they're really interested in, immerse themselves in it in a very systematic, concentrated way. But other times, the TV will be on, music will be playing, you're checking your email, things popping up on Twitter, more or less all at the same time. One of the arguments I try to make is that may appear to be kind of disconnected or incoherent. In terms of what's going on in the individual mind, very much a stream of coherence. A set of interconnected stories and narratives and learning processes. Perfect sense, and we're so drawn to multitasking because it's so much fun, powerful. It's often an efficient way of producing it. Not how you should do everything. Didn't try to assemble a new bed from IKEA same time while you're writing an email, but when you want to be doing it, it gets us to where we need to go. So I think this notion of the choice and that we can switch, that multitasking is an option when it used to not really be, I think that's a big intellectual advance and starting to come